Hello, and welcome to the most must-see detective show. Detective Catch here, your very own private investigator. Now let me paint you a picture of a world different from the one you know. A world where the government is not what it seems, where powerful secret societies pull the strings from behind the scenes, and where things worse than you can imagine are still at play. A world where the truth is hidden in plain sight, and only those with the courage to seek it out will ever truly understand the forces that shape our reality. As I delve deeper into this twisted world of horror, I uncover shocking truths that the mainstream media doesn't want you to know. But be warned, as you delve deeper into this sinister world, you may find that the truth is more horrifying than you could have ever imagined. In the 1980s, one of the most high-profile and controversial criminal cases was that of Diane Downs, who was accused of murdering her husband. Diane, who was 33 years old and lived in Springfield, Oregon, was a mother of 3 children. On the evening of May 19, 1983, Diane drove her 3 children, all of whom had been wounded numerous times, to the hospital where they were being treated. Diane asserted that she and her children were victims of a random roadside assault, but the evidence pointed in the opposite direction, indicating that she was the one who fired the shots. The investigation into the shooting was quite comprehensive, and it received a lot of attention from the media. The investigation into Diane's case proceeded in various directions, with the police following up on multiple leads and conducting extensive interviews with family and friends. However, the evidence presented against Diane was overwhelming. She persisted, despite this evidence, in asserting her innocence and defending her position that she had been the victim of an unprovoked assault. The trial of Diane Downs was a phenomenon, and it garnered coverage from media outlets all throughout the country. In 1984, Diane stood trial for 3 counts of attempted murder, which she was charged with committing. The jury rejected her claims of innocence and came to the conclusion that she was convicted of all charges. They then decided that she should spend the rest of her life behind bars. After a number of years during which she continued to challenge her conviction, Diane was ultimately unsuccessful in all of her appeals. Diane is still serving a life term in prison for the senseless attack she committed on her own children. She has been there since the day she was sentenced. The event continues to be the subject of interest and conjecture, and the reasons for her actions are still veiled in obscurity. Even if some time has passed, the case of Diane Downs is still one of the most disturbing and puzzling in recent history. Diane Downs was born in the year 1955 in the state of Arizona, and she had a difficult childhood due to her problematic family. Before the shooting incident that made her famous, she had already been married and divorced multiple times. This was despite the fact that she had a rough childhood. Diane was well known for her role as a dedicated mother, and her 3 children, Cheryl, Danny, and Christy, were the focal point of her life at all times. Nevertheless, despite the fact that she devoted her life to her children, Diane had a long history of mental instability and erratic behavior. It was common knowledge that she exhibited erratic conduct, and she had a number of brushes with the authorities. Her behavior was said to be erratic and unpredictable, and it was occasionally described as violent, which led many people to question her mental state. The unpredictable behavior of the defendant, in addition to her protestations of innocence during the course of the trial, contributed to the sensationalist and puzzling aspect of the case. Because of her history and the horrendous nature of the crime that she committed, Diane became the subject of great investigation from the media and curiosity from the general public. The case of Diane Downs continues to be one of the most high-profile criminal cases of the 1980s, and the reasons for her conduct are still a subject of conjecture and controversy to this day. Her reason for carrying out the shooting was never established, but some people theorize that she may have been trying to get rid of her kids so that she could begin a new life with a new partner. Cheryl, Christy, and Danny Downs were all shot by their mother, Diane Downs, and she has been charged with 3 counts of attempted murder in connection with the shootings. Her trial took place in 1984, and the jury ultimately decided that she was guilty of all charges, despite the fact that she vigorously defended herself and asserted her innocence throughout the proceedings. Given the vicious nature of the crime, as well as the fact that her own children were the ones who were hurt, the verdict was met with great outcry from the general public. Diane continued to fight for her innocence, even after the judgment was handed down by the jury, and she filed many appeals over the course of several years. Her appeals were founded on a number of different reasons, including allegations of errors that occurred during the trial proceedings, newly unearthed evidence, and claims that she was not provided with adequate legal representation. However, despite all of Diane's efforts, she was ultimately unsuccessful in her appeals, and she continues to serve out the remainder of her life sentence in prison. The criminal case of Diane Downs continues to be one of the most high-profile and disturbing in the more recent history of the United States. Diane's continued efforts to overturn her conviction have only added to the spectacular and confusing aspect of the case, and to this day, her reasons for committing the crime are still a mystery. The case has been sensationalized and made more confusing by Diane's efforts. In spite of the passage of time, the case continues to grab the public interest and stir arguments about the nature of evil as well as the criminal justice system. The case of Diane Downs is one of the most disturbing and puzzling in recent history, and it continues to be remembered for this reason. The terrible act of violence that she committed on her own children has left a permanent scar not only on the families of the victims, but also on the community as a whole. The shocking and horrifying nature of the murder was compounded by the fact that the perpetrator was a mother, a figure who is socially expected to love and look out for her children. Even though Diane's reasons for carrying out the attack are still a mystery, the legacy she has left behind as a mother whose parenting went horribly wrong is a cautionary story about the destructive power of mental illness. Many professionals are of the opinion that Diane was most likely affected by a significant mental disease, such as manic depressive condition or bipolar disorder, both of which could have played a role in her erratic behavior and violent deeds. Her life and legacy serve as a cautionary tale about the lengths to which individuals will go in order to get away from their difficulties. It's possible that Diane's troubled past and her struggles with mental illness caused her to conduct the murder in a desperate attempt to escape her problems and establish a new life for herself. The situation involving Diane Downs serves as a useful reminder that mental illness can have extremely detrimental effects, and that individuals who are in need of assistance should seek therapy as soon as they can. And that concludes today's episode. But like always, remember that we must unite as a community while the world around us continues to twist and corrupt. In the face of uncertainty, we must stand together in support of one another. You are helping our channel by liking, subscribing, and sharing this video, as well as promoting awareness and community cohesion. Only together can we overcome the darkness and meet any obstacle that arises. As a result, I kindly request that you take a moment to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with your loved ones. Let's unite and grow stronger collectively. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay vigilant.